Have you ever woken up to find that the source of your joy, your income, or your passion has completely dried up overnight? It feels like the world has moved on while you are stranded in a wasteland of uncertainty. Today, we're diving into Elijah's journey at the brook to discover how to find supernatural sustenance when your life suddenly feels empty. The sun hung heavy in the sky, scorching the land of Israel. Crops withered, rivers shrank, the air itself felt tired. This was no ordinary drought. It was a word spoken by the prophet Elijah, a bold declaration that shook a nation. Elijah the Tishbite stood before the king and said, "As the Lord lives, there shall be no rain." And just like that, everything changed. But what no one expected was that the man who spoke the drought would soon have to live through it. Right after that powerful moment, when Elijah stood strong before the king, God whispered something unexpected. "Leave here, go east, and hide yourself by the brook Cherith." Hide? After a public victory, God led him into private isolation. No applause, no crowd, no spotlight, just a brook and silence. Elijah obeyed. Day after day he sat by the brook. The only sound was the gentle flow of water over stones. And then something strange happened. Ravens began to visit him. Morning and evening they brought him bread and meat. In the middle of a dry, broken land, God made sure Elijah was fed. It didn't make sense, but it didn't have to. Because when God provides, He doesn't need your understanding, just your trust. For a while everything was steady. Water flowed, food came, life was sustained. But then something shifted. The sound of the brook began to change. The once steady stream turned into a trickle. The trickle turned into drops. And eventually, silence. The brook dried up. Can you imagine the moment? Elijah walks to the edge, expecting water, but there's nothing there. No warning, no explanation, no immediate word from God, just dryness. This is the part we don't talk about enough. What do you do when the place God led you to stops sustaining you? What do you do when what once worked no longer works? What do you do when heaven feels quiet and life feels empty? Elijah had to face a truth many of us struggle with. God will allow the brook to dry up, not because He failed, not because He forgot, but because He is shifting your season. The brook was never the source. God was. And sometimes God will dry up the resource to remind you who the source really is. What Elijah didn't know was that on the other side of the dried brook was a new assignment, a widow in Zarephath, a miracle in the making, provision that would not run dry. But he had to leave the brook first, so if your life feels dry right now, if something you depended on has stopped flowing, if God seems silent, don't panic. This is not the end, this is a transition, because the same God who provided at the brook will provide in the next place. When your brook dries up, don't lose your faith. God is not taking from you. He's leading you somewhere greater. If this message spoke to you, take a moment right now and type, "I trust God in the dry season." And if you know someone whose brook has dried up, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a word that could strengthen your faith. And always remember, even in the dry places, God is still faithful. Share this video with them. You never know who needs this reminder today.